Have you ever seen a video so painfully awkward, so deeply cringeworthy, that it makes you question if it was even real? That's exactly what happened when Meghan Markle posted a video of herself dancing heavily pregnant in a hospital room with Prince Harry. The music, a loud, unapologetic baby mama anthem. The vibe, more TikTok challenge than touching family moment. What was meant to be sweet quickly spiraled into something very different. Within hours, the internet exploded, critics calling it tone deaf, fans caught off guard, and trolls unleashing a storm of conspiracy theories that pushed things from bizarre to brutal. But the most shocking part, this wasn't just a PR stumble, it triggered a chain reaction that's still unfolding, because this one video didn't just go viral, it cracked something wide open. It was supposed to be a feel-good moment. On June 4th, Meghan Markle shared the never-before-seen video of her and Prince Harry dancing in a hospital room during her pregnancy, celebrating their daughter Lilibet's birthday. The caption was simple, even charming. 4 years ago today, both of our children were a week past their due dates. When spicy food and acupuncture didn't work, there was only one thing left to do. But once the video hit social media, that's where the charm ended. In the clip, Meghan sways and twirls to a track blaring "Baby Mama," laughing, smiling, moving with confidence. Prince Harry joins in, looking casual, even goofy. It was clearly meant to show a fun, human side of parenthood. But instead of praise, the internet lit up with disgust. Why? Because people didn't see joy, they saw something staged, even manipulative. Critics said it was a tone-deaf attempt to appear relatable. Others felt it was too polished, too perfectly timed, like it was engineered to go viral. And then the conspiracy theories started. Some users swore the baby bump looked fake. Others questioned the timing of the post. Why now? They asked. Why on Lilibet's birthday? Why during a PR lull? In hours, Twitter, Reddit, and Instagram threads flooded with speculation. People weren't just reacting, they were investigating. The video wasn't just unpopular, it became a target. Memes popped up mocking Meghan's dance, Harry's awkward swaying, even the choice of song. It wasn't hate, it was mockery. Ruthless, widespread, and impossible to stop. Meghan had intended to share a sweet family memory. What she got instead was the beginning of a firestorm. Once the video took off, it didn't just go viral, it got weaponized. Comment sections turned brutal fast. "That belly's lumpy," one user wrote. "She's moving like she's in a music video, not giving birth." Others piled on with even harsher takes, suggesting that Meghan was faking her pregnancy, craving attention, or using her child's birth for online clout. Theories spread like wildfire that the video was staged, that the timing was a ploy to distract from her failing brand deals, that it was another look at me moment disguised as vulnerability. One clip of her dancing to the song "Baby Mama" was clipped and reposted with mocking captions. Thousands of users stitched it with their own reactions, some laughing, others visibly cringing. Hashtags like #BabyMamaGate and #MeghanDanceFail began trending. The trolls weren't just criticizing, they were feasting. But behind the memes and mockery, something darker started to bubble up. The internet wasn't just questioning the video, it was tearing into Meghan as a person. Her character, her authenticity, her very motherhood were suddenly up for public debate. Christopher Boozy, a social media analyst featured in Meghan and Harry's Netflix docuseries, spoke out. He called the backlash a full-blown harassment campaign, explaining that Meghan had become a magnet for conspiracy theorists. He reminded the public that this wasn't the first time she'd faced this kind of online abuse, and that during her time in the UK, the attacks had gotten so vicious, Meghan had admitted to having thoughts of ending her own life. But the internet didn't pause. It pushed harder. Even those trying to defend her were drowned out by the noise. Candice Dillard, a reality TV star and former pageant queen, clapped back at critics who questioned Meghan's movement while pregnant. Actually, she wrote, "At 9 months pregnant, I was leg pressing 3 times my weight. Just say you hate a black woman married to a white prince." But the crowd wasn't interested in nuance. Meghan wasn't just the subject of a viral video anymore, she had become a full-blown internet villain. And this time, the hate wasn't just personal, it had consequences. It didn't take long for the internet chaos to spill into the business world. At first, it was just the usual PR noise, commentary, think pieces, reaction videos. But behind closed doors, the mood was shifting fast. Executives at major streaming platforms, lifestyle brands, and media companies were watching the backlash closely. and they didn't like what they saw. Whispers started circulating. Was Meghan Markle becoming too controversial to work with? It wasn't just about bad optics. Brands live and die by public perception, and suddenly anything with her name on it came with baggage. A few internal emails leaked to the press hinted at creative hesitation. Deals that were in motion stalled. Brands that were once proud to be associated with her quietly hit pause. Then came the Netflix panic. Meghan's lifestyle series, With Love, Meghan, was meant to be a flagship project. The first season had dropped with a lot of anticipation, but reactions were mixed. Critics called it bland, overly polished, and out of touch. It got 1 week in Netflix's top 10 before vanishing from the charts. And now the second season, already in production, was facing an identity crisis. Sources close to the project claimed that meetings turned tense. Some producers were reportedly frustrated, unsure if the show could survive another round of negative headlines. Rumors swirled that Netflix had started soft launching other celebrity projects in the same space, just in case Meghan's show couldn't recover. Meanwhile, Spotify, which had already parted ways with Harry and Meghan the year before, issued no statements, but industry insiders noted how silent the platform stayed during the entire drama. No support, no defense, nothing. And it wasn't just media companies pulling back. A handful of lifestyle brands that had expressed interest in cross-promoting Meghan's upcoming products began to distance themselves. One PR firm even leaked that they were no longer comfortable pitching her story to top-tier outlets. Meghan's inner circle began to feel the pressure. Her team, once confident in her post-royal star power, now found themselves playing defense. Every move was scrutinized. Every opportunity risked backlash. In a matter of days, a video meant to celebrate motherhood had transformed into a business liability. And the worst part, the damage wasn't over yet. As the backlash grew louder, a deeper issue began to surface, one Meghan Markle couldn't ignore. This wasn't just about one video, it was about her image, her message, and the massive gap between how she sees herself and how the public sees her. Meghan has long positioned her brand around authenticity, being vulnerable, real, and unfiltered. Her interviews, her Netflix docuseries, her podcast, even her lifestyle brand With Love, Meghan, they've all leaned on the idea that she's not just a former royal, she's a relatable woman, a mother, a voice for change. But to many, the hospital video exposed the exact opposite. It didn't feel raw. It felt rehearsed. It didn't connect. It felt like content. People started asking, was this ever about authenticity or just another performance? Critics pointed to the lighting, the angles, even the music choice. They said the video looked less like a private family moment and more like a calculated play for attention, a moment engineered to go viral, not cherished. Even longtime supporters felt conflicted. Some quietly admitted the clip made them uncomfortable. "I've defended her for years," one fan posted, "but this, it felt off." Another wrote, "I want to root for her, but she makes it so hard." And this is where the crisis deepened. Because Meghan didn't just lose critics, she started losing the middle ground. The people who weren't haters, but weren't die-hard fans either. The ones who were open to her story, who sympathized with her struggles, but were now starting to wonder, is this really the same woman who said she just wanted privacy? Her brand, once built on grace and control, was starting to feel chaotic and reactive. Behind the scenes, sources said her team was scrambling, unsure whether to pull back or push forward. Do they defend the video? Do they ignore the noise? Or do they try to spin it as part of her evolving story? No matter what they chose, one thing was already clear: the public was no longer buying what she was selling. For months, Netflix had been betting big on Meghan Markle. Her series With Love, Meghan was supposed to be the next evolution of her public persona, a glossy, lifestyle-forward rebrand that moved her beyond royalty drama and into wellness influencer territory. But after the first season's lukewarm reception, there were already doubts. Then came the hospital video, and suddenly those doubts turned into meetings. According to insiders, the backlash surrounding the video made its way into executive rooms fast. The problem wasn't just the controversy, it was the timing. Season 2 of With Love, Meghan had already wrapped, and Netflix was preparing a massive fall rollout. Big guest stars had been lined up. Promo materials were in the works. Now, all of it was on hold. creative teams reportedly began raising red flags, questioning whether the new season could overcome the storm of negative press. A few even suggested holding the release back or cutting certain scenes to avoid fan backlash. But worse than creative edits were the whispers that began circulating. Some insiders wondered if Netflix should scrap the show entirely. To be clear, Netflix hasn't made that move. They're still publicly backing the show. CEO Ted Sarandos has gone on record calling Meghan a cultural rock star. But behind that polished statement, others in the industry aren't so sure. Because while Netflix might still be committed, other platforms are not. Paramount, which had previously been in talks about a potential collaboration with Meghan, reportedly stepped away after the video drama. Executives feared that associating with her brand, even on a neutral project, could invite controversy. Quietly, they cut ties. Podcast networks that once courted her for post-Spotify content are now dragging their feet. And investors linked to her lifestyle products are growing nervous, asking if this public perception dip is temporary or terminal. Meghan's name, once synonymous with buzz, is starting to feel risky. And in Hollywood, that's the last thing you want to be, because once the calls stop coming in, getting them started again is a whole different battle. For years, Meghan Markle worked to rebuild her image. From the chaos of royal exit headlines to the Oprah interview, from her Spotify deals to Netflix's splashy launches, every move felt intentional, strategic. She was carving out a new identity, independent, empowered, misunderstood, but rising. But now, that carefully crafted identity is cracking. The hospital video didn't just spark backlash, it exposed something deeper, a disconnect between the Meghan people thought they knew and the one they saw in that footage. It wasn't just bad PR, it was a credibility hit. Critics weren't holding back. Major commentators and columnists labeled the video a PR disaster, desperate, even narcissistic performance art. And what stung most? These weren't just internet trolls. Some were former supporters, cultural critics, former allies. Fans who had once defended her during royal attacks now found themselves questioning her choices. Why post something so personal, so polished, so provocative, during a moment that should have felt intimate? The answer seemed obvious. Attention. That word, attention, started replacing others once associated with Meghan, like advocate, activist, and mother. To many, she no longer looked like someone trying to share her truth. She looked like someone trying to manufacture a new moment. The fallout was swift. Social media pages dedicated to Meghan's career began going quiet. Instagram fan accounts went dormant. Threads that once praised her pivot to wellness began reposting critiques and parodies. It felt like the tide was turning, not from love to hate, but from belief to boredom. And when people stopped believing, they stopped caring. Behind the scenes, sources claimed Meghan was shocked, not devastated. She's dealt with public scrutiny before, but confused. She thought the video would humanize her. Instead, it made her seem more distant, more unreachable, and most painfully, more irrelevant. Her team, once full of energy and ambition, was now in triage mode. The strategy meetings weren't about new launches. They were about damage control, how to salvage what's left of the brand, how to keep partnerships alive, how to keep Meghan's name in headlines, for the right reasons. But no amount of control could fix the bigger issue. The audience had changed. They no longer saw Meghan as a rebel or a role model. They saw a brand too curated, too scripted, too disconnected from the very realness it claimed to stand for. And once that trust breaks, it's nearly impossible to get it back. Just when it seemed like things couldn't get worse, the internet did what it always does. It dug deeper. The hospital video became ground zero for a new wave of rumors. The old conspiracies about Meghan's pregnancies, ones most thought had faded into internet obscurity, suddenly came roaring back. Posts began circulating with slowed-down footage, zoomed-in frames, and side-by-side comparisons. People claimed her belly moved unnaturally. Others insisted the bump changed shape mid-dance. And once those videos gained traction, it was open season. Even those who had never questioned her pregnancies before began asking, wait, what are we looking at here? It got ugly. fast. One viral thread accused her of staging the entire video to silence critics who had long speculated she used a surrogate. Others accused her of using the moment as a weapon to prove a point, to troll the haters, to stir up sympathy. Of course, none of this was rooted in verified facts. But in the internet age, facts come second to virality, and for Meghan, that meant every second of footage, every frame of that 30-second video became fuel for a conspiracy engine that never stops running. Her defenders tried to push back. Christopher Boozy stepped in again, calling the theories sickening and cruel. He pointed out how obsessive and invasive the commentary had become and reminded people of the real-world impact, including Meghan's past mental health struggles during her time in the UK. Candace Dillard tweeted her frustration too, clapping back at a commenter who said no woman 9 months pregnant moves that way. Dillard fired back with her own labor photo, reminding the world that every pregnancy looks different and that the hate directed at Meghan wasn't about skepticism. It was about something much uglier: racism, misogyny, double standards, all of it boiling under the surface of every mocking comment and eye-roll emoji. But even with voices like Boozy and Dillard trying to shift the conversation, the mob had already chosen its target. Meghan wasn't just controversial, she was the eye of a digital storm. And the more she said or posted, the more fuel it seemed to throw on the fire. Her every move was dissected. Her every silence was interpreted, and through it all, one uncomfortable truth began to rise. People weren't just questioning her content, they were questioning her reality. And once that door is open, once people start asking what's real and what's performative, there's no putting that narrative back in the box. While the internet buzzed with reactions, mockery, and speculation, some people couldn't help but remember something from years ago, something Queen Elizabeth reportedly said behind palace walls. When Harry and Meghan first proposed their half-in, half-out model of royal life, where they'd maintain their titles and connections while living independently, the Queen famously rejected the idea. Her reason? It wouldn't work. The monarchy doesn't allow part-time roles. You're either in or you're out. At the time, many saw it as cold, maybe even punitive. But now, in light of the chaos surrounding Meghan's viral video, those words feel prophetic. Because what we're witnessing isn't just a celebrity misstep, it's the unraveling of a carefully controlled narrative. A reminder that stepping out of the royal system means stepping into a much harsher one: public opinion, unfiltered and unforgiving. Unlike the palace, which guards its members with rigid structure and layers of press control, the influencer world Meghan stepped into is ruthless, fast-moving, noisy, and one wrong move, a single video, even with good intentions, can explode everything. And Queen Elizabeth, she saw that coming. Royal insiders have said that the Queen was always skeptical about Meghan and Harry's media ambitions. She understood the power of mystery, of staying above the noise. That was the royal way: be seen, not heard, appear but never explain. Meghan, on the other hand, explained everything. She gave interviews, she shared journals, she exposed family tensions, private conversations, even deeply personal trauma, all in the name of transparency. But in doing so, she gave up the one thing the royal family holds dear: control. Now, every attempt to reclaim that control, every podcast, every series, every social media post is met with doubt, skepticism, sometimes ridicule. Even people who sympathized with her decision to leave the palace are starting to question the results. She wanted freedom, one royal commentator wrote, but it looks like she found something much more brutal. Because the truth is, fame without structure is chaos, and Meghan, once protected by royal tradition, even when it didn't serve her, is now out in the open. And as this video saga proves, she's no longer just contending with haters or trolls. She's contending with something far harder to fix: a loss of credibility. By now, it's not just about a video. It's about an identity unraveling in real time. Meghan Markle spent the past few years trying to reinvent herself. From royal outsider to media mogul, from activist to lifestyle icon, every project was a step in crafting a new narrative. And for a while, it worked. But after the hospital video, everything changed. What was supposed to be a warm, humanizing clip celebrating motherhood and new beginnings morphed into a symbol of disconnect. It didn't just backfire. It exposed a deeper issue: No one seems to know what Meghan's brand is anymore. Not even Meghan. Is she a private citizen or a public figure? A wellness guru or a documentarian? A feminist icon or a luxury entrepreneur? Her projects seem to orbit every space but land in none. Behind the scenes, the signs of collapse are everywhere. Her podcast, once rumored to be shopping for a new network after Spotify ended their deal, has gone quiet. Pitches are being met with polite silence. Brands once eager to partner are pulling back. Even her most dedicated team members are reportedly unsure what direction to push next. Worse, her audience isn't just disengaging, they're checking out completely. Viewers who once tuned in to hear her speak are now skipping over her appearances. Clips from her podcast are generating fewer clicks. Her Netflix show is drawing less buzz. The followers are still there, but the energy is gone, and that's the most dangerous place to be in Hollywood, not hated, but ignored. One source close to her team admitted, "We thought this was the beginning of a new chapter. Now it feels like we're stuck on a loop." Another added, "She keeps circling the same themes: motherhood, activism, vulnerability, but people aren't connecting anymore. It feels scripted." Meghan's once promising production company, Arcuel, is reportedly juggling stalled development projects. Content ideas are struggling to get greenlit. Executives are hesitant. Everyone's waiting to see if she can turn this moment around, or if it's the beginning of a long, slow fade. And through it all, Meghan's still trying. She's still making appearances, still posting content, still giving interviews. But every time she speaks, it feels like the audience hears something different than what she intended. She wanted to show intimacy, people saw vanity. She wanted to reclaim the narrative. People felt manipulated. She wanted to be real. People felt staged. And now with her content floundering and her deals wobbling, Meghan is facing a harsh truth. If the world no longer believes your story, it doesn't matter how well you tell it. So here's where we are. A single video, 30 seconds of Meghan Markle dancing in a hospital room, triggered a chain reaction no PR team could have predicted. It didn't just spark headlines or social media chatter, it cracked the very foundation of her brand. The backlash wasn't just loud, it was telling. People weren't just criticizing her dancing or her belly or her choice of music. They were questioning her intentions, her honesty, her entire identity. It revealed something that had been brewing quietly beneath the surface for years. A growing discomfort with who Meghan Markle has become in the public eye. The woman who once symbolized defiance, strength, and liberation now risks being seen as calculated, inauthentic, and overexposed. And here's the painful truth for any celebrity, influencer, or public figure. Once people decide your story feels fake, it doesn't matter how true it is. The damage is done. Trust is gone. And in Meghan's case, the timing couldn't be worse. The deals that once poured in are drying up. The goodwill she earned through emotional interviews and bold exits is wearing thin. The audience is no longer captivated. They're suspicious, even disinterested. And in a digital landscape that moves at lightning speed, public sentiment doesn't just shift, it vanishes. So can she come back? Yes, but not without change. She'll have to do what no script, no series, no Netflix deal can manufacture: show something real. Strip away the filters, the rehearsed talking points, the branded kitchen sets. Stop trying to win everyone over and just be vulnerable. Honest human, not a product, not a brand, just Meghan. That's the paradox she's trapped in. For years, she's told the world she wants to live a private, authentic life, while monetizing every piece of that life. And now, the world has noticed the contradiction. It doesn't trust the packaging anymore. It wants the truth. Because the most dangerous place for someone like Meghan Markle isn't the tabloids, the trolls, or the British press. It's irrelevance. And if she doesn't pivot fast, that's exactly where she's headed.